Hello and welcome back. I'm so glad you could join us. Today we're going to continue what I started last week. I was explaining a vision that I had. It seemed like it was a scene out of Peter Pan where people were flying out their windows in their pajamas. It looked just like, Wendy and John flying off to Never Never Land with Peter Pan. But I understood that this represented dreamers and how dreamers could enter another dimension during the dream state. And I promised that we would have some clarification. So this is what the messengers had to say. An interdimensional space exists between the earth plane and our realm of existence. By stepping into the veil, the dreamer has access to both earth plane existence and our realm. They are existing in both dimensions simultaneously. As dreamers become more adept, they are able to travel farther into the neutral zone where they will reach the other side of the barrier. Most humans are not able to breach the second barrier while still having a physical body. This is the first state of higher vibrational frequencies. Let me just stop right there. When they talk about the neutral zone, this is something that the messengers have told me before. There is a barrier that exists between the dimensions, but once you go through it, you're in this area, which now I understand is called a neutral zone, and you're gradually going further and further into that actual new dimension. But that first space that you enter is what they call, apparently, the neutral zone. Let's go back to the message. Communications with guidance teams often occur in this zone, for the limitations within the physical body are at a minimum. There is little room for misinterpretation, and understanding is more complete. This is the state where many lucid dreams, visitations, and visions occur, for this is where humans begin to rely on their higher senses. No longer are they tethered to the limits of the senses of the physical realm. Well, this seemed very logical to me, this explanation. Of course, this is my analytical brain as a psychologist thinking. When I started thinking about Peter Pan and Wendy and John and walking through interdimensional barriers, that analytical part of my brain was saying, what, how could this be true? So let's go back to the message. As humans step into the fullness of their essence, they become less reliant upon the parameters of physicality. Their latest incarnation as being human is a guidepost for their adventures into enlightenment. In order to understand the experiences, they must rely upon what they know. Just as human infants must learn to sit before standing and walking, humans must use their primitive senses to orient and begin to understand the universe of energy. It is the only way to begin to traverse these new frequencies. By using what the human understands and is familiar with, the understanding begins. Think of it as baby steps or as training wheels when learning to ride a two-wheeled bike. It is what is required to move from the familiar to the novel. We help guide what the human uses by selecting memories that are appropriate to the situation. In this case, you understand the characters of Peter Pan and Wendy. Do you not? Well, I couldn't help but smile. It's like, of course, I remember Peter Pan as he flew across the sky to Neverland. And so I understood, yes, I can relate to this experience. I understood that some aspect of myself was actually flying through the ethers into a world that is unseen by many. And in the vision, as I watched people actually touch that barrier with their fingers before entering, it allowed me to observe that the barrier was not impenetrable. We can get through that barrier. So I was beginning to understand what the messenger was trying to portray. Although my analytical mind had questioned the content, using the world of physicality to, to describe the mechanisms of the non-physical made sense to me, even though they had to use people like John, and Wendy. And a thought that popped into my mind as I, got this message was, I know several people who have the classic out-of-body experiences, and they often talk about experiencing a vibrational state before their non-physical form, like jettisons off into the world of the non-physical. And then I thought, what is the difference between an out-of-body exploration and what I experienced? Is there a difference? The messengers had already said that neutral zone is a space where visitations occur. It's a space where we connect with those who have passed on. And it's a place where we can experience the non-physical. It's a place where lucid dreams occur. So with this question in my mind, the messengers replied. They are one and the same, just as lucid dreaming and dreaming are one and the same. All of these take place as the world of the non-physical takes over the world of the physical. As the physical drops away, it allows the true essence to expand and to explore. There are different techniques as well as different degrees of experience within each category. Much of it depends on the baseline skills for the participant. If a human is adept at riding a unicycle, using a tricycle will not match their abilities. As your Earth continues in its transition, more humans will find it easier to engage in non-physical activities, such as out-of-body explorations, energy healing, and lucid dreaming. There is an increased energy level as a tipping point is nearing. As the tipping point approaches, many out-of-body explorers will quickly bypass the vibrational stage or phase of the experience. More humans will become aware of their dream states and will be able to manipulate their dreams. Okay, so there's really quite a bit to unpack from these last two messages. What they said about novel experiences really rings a bell with me. I remember the very first experience I had about the flower. Here I am driving to work, and this message comes to me about a flower being a flower of energy. And as the flower reaches up to Father Sky, it's in perfect alignment with Source. And the message said that we too can be flowers of energy. Now, this was new information for me. I knew that the message was not from me. I knew it was a message for me, but this was a novel learning situation. As an analytical psychologist, there were no files in my brain where I could pull out and say, okay, this is what's happening, so I'll respond this way, or that's what's happening. This was a novel situation for me. And so I had no idea what to do with it. I immediately just dismissed it. I allowed denial to come in and, we'll just forget about that. But then just a few moments later, I had this beautiful mystical experience with the tree. I mean, I can just imagine the messengers like rapping on my head and saying, she's not paying attention. She's got to pay attention to something. Let's bring in the tree. So this is what I'm hearing them say also about matching our skill sets. If you are able to ride, a unicycle, why would you choose a tricycle? So as people's skills are elevating, there's going to be more and more of a matching of our skill set. And once again, I'm hearing this recurring theme of Earth going through an evolutionary process. And as she goes through that process to higher vibrational energies, we too are hanging on to her coattails. So people like me and other people who maybe didn't have a real spiritual nature are opening up to a new world, opening up to the world of energy, the world of the non-physical, and realizing sometimes what's not real is actually more real than three-dimensional reality. We are all energy beings. And the more and more I realize this and I start really seeing everything through the lens of energy, I realize my consciousness has expanded. And as it does that, it brings more truths to me. So I hope you found this interesting. I'm always looking for more subscribers. So subscribe, share the videos, whatever. So until next time, I hope everyone has a great week and have fun. Bring in those higher vibrational energies to uplift you. Engage in laughter, engage in humor, and always use your heart because it will never lead you astray.